All right, so everybody wants to run a faster 40. So today we're going to go over how to start to run a successful 40-yard dash. So we're just going to go over the setup today. Now, whether you're a high school, college, or about to be a professional athlete, coaches are in love with the 40-yard dash, and they want to see blazing times that are going to shock them. So if you run a really good 40-yard dash, you're guaranteed to catch coach's eye. So we're going to go over the setup now. Now, as we go over this 40-yard dash start, I want you guys to start from the stance that we're going over, because a lot of people use it just as is to create an efficient setup. But this can be changed. It can be variable, and it's going to change based off your skill level, your strength levels, your speed, and then your comfortability. So use the startup, get a feel for it out of the exact way that we go over it, but then change it up to fit your needs to help you run a successful 40. All right, so we're going to go over this 40-yard dash setup in depth, really detailed in a little bit. But before we do so, I want to show you guys a quick and simple overview of what it looks like so you can refer back to it. All right, so to start, first we're going to approach the line and take it. So we're going to have our toes on the edge of the line. From there, I'm going to directly step behind 1 foot, replace, and now I have my distance from the starting line. From there, I'm going to widen out on the same plane that I'm on. Widen out, keep my feet parallel. Now I'm going to get to hip width, about the width that I would do a max effort vertical jump from. Then from there, I'm going to shoot 1 foot back. Now the foot that I keep forward is going to be my power leg, usually opposite of my dominant hand. So scoot that foot directly back so I don't change my width. And then I'm going to go knee to opposite toe. So my knee is going to be even with my toe. Then from here, I take forward, I go over the line, I get my hands at shoulder width, and then I shoot, load my hips back, set my shin angles, and I create blocks out of my feet. So I'm here, shoot my hips up, load them, set my shin angles, and then I create blocks out of my feet. From there, I put 1 foot down, or one hand down. It's going to be opposite of the front leg. And so I don't lose my hip position and my shin angles, I'm going to slowly creep back. Once I'm here, take a deep breath and explode. All right, so now we're going to go over 5 different points of the 40-yard dash in depth to make sure that we hone in on every specific detail of this. So first, we're going to go over the foot position. Second, we're going to set the hands and shoulders. Third, we're going to load the hips and load the shins. Fourth, we're going to take a deep breath. And then fifth, we're going to explode from there. So we're going to go over all those points, all those 5 points in depth here. So first, with the feet position, I want to be as specific and detailed to my feet position as possible so we can create the most consistent start and get quality reps of the same position over time. So to start, as mentioned earlier, we're going to take the line. We're going to go toes to the end of the line. From here, we step directly back, replace, and we have our distance from the line. Now, if you're a taller athlete, usually about 6'2", 6'3", and up, you'll take an extra instep from that position. So we're going to go, if you're a taller athlete, directly behind, and then an extra step to the instep, and then back, and now you have your distance from the line. So for me, I'm not a tall athlete at all, so all I'm going to do is take the line, go 1 foot directly behind the other, and now I have my distance from the line. And from there, I'm going to set up my feet width. So I'm going to set up my feet width exactly at about hip width, so where I would be at if I'm doing a max effort vertical jump. Now, this is going to change based off your first step, where your first step lands, or your ability to create space with flexion and internal rotation of the hip. But for the most part, most people are just going to be at hip width. Once we have our hip width, we're going to start moving our feet to where they're going to be when we do our 3-point stance. So we're going to have our power leg be up. So if you're right-handed, your power leg's most likely going to be your left leg. And if you're left-handed, your power leg's most likely going to be your right leg. It's going to be the opposite of your dominant hand. So from there, I determine my power leg. It's going to be my left. I'm going to keep this width the same, my feet width the same. I'm going to drag 1 foot directly back so I don't shift that width. And I'm going to go knee to the power leg toe. Now, this is going to change from athlete to athlete, but most athletes are going to fall in this knee parallel with the opposite toe. Now, if you're a stronger athlete, but you're not as twitchy and you really want to get a faster start, you can put your knee 1 to 2 inches in front of the toe. This is going to put your hips lower, but it's going to bias a faster start to get out a lot faster. Now, if you're a weaker athlete and you want to bias a stronger and more powerful start, instead of going knee parallel with the toe, you can put your knee to the opposite instep, or you can put your knee as far back as to your heel. Now, this is going to be rare, but if you are really weaker relatively to your body weight, you can put this knee a little further back than your toes. This is going to put your hips higher, and it's going to allow you to have a stronger, more powerful start with your first step. But as mentioned, most athletes are just going to be knee in line with their toe. It's going to create a even, very well balanced start, and then we can go with our foot position from here. All right, so now that my knee's in line with my toe, I know where my feet are gonna be. I'm just gonna rock forward on all fours, get to the floor. I'm gonna set my hands both at shoulder width apart, right outside of both legs. So with my hands and shoulders set up, now I can load the hips, I can create my shin angles, and I can load my feet and create blocks out of them. So from here, all I'm gonna do is push the ground away from me. I'm gonna load my hips and do everything we just talked about. So I'm gonna push my hips back. Now my hips need to be higher than my head. Now from here, I'm gonna set my shin angles to be at the projection angle that I wanna be at. So my projection angle is always gonna follow where my shins are pointed at. So I'm gonna rock back, set my shins. Now from here, I need to make blocks out of my feet. So I want my feet to be dorsiflex and strong and stiff. So my hips are back, my shins are loaded, my hips are loaded, and I'm loading through the balls of my feet. I'm not too toey, and I'm not flat on my heels to where my shins are vertical. Push back, load the hips over the head, create my shin angles, create blocks out of my feet. All right, so once I'm loaded up here, my hips are higher than my head, my shins are set, and I'm loaded to the balls of my feet. The weight distribution should be 70% on my front leg and 30% on my back leg. We want this 40-yard dash setup to be a 2-foot setup. If we're using only one leg, we're missing a lot of power that we could be getting on our first step. So we want it to be 70% on our power leg, 30% jump and push from our back leg. From here, I'm loaded, my hands are in front, my head is cut off by this line, so my head needs to be in front of this line to create that horizontal forward momentum. From here, everything is set up. I just get the opposite hand as my power leg. I get it to the line, and I slowly creep the other hand back to my side without losing my shin angle and my hip position. Then from here, it's a deep, big breath and explode. All right, so now that we talked about the 40-yard dash setup in depth, I'm gonna go over how exactly I would do it in the most simplest and efficient way, get in and out of it, and set up a good 40-yard dash. So I'm gonna start by taking the line. From here, step, replace, I have my distance. Now I go hip width, drag back, knee to toe, rock forward, set up my hands and shoulders, push the hips back, set my angles, hips higher, head cut off, hand here, creep, 70-30, big breath. All right, so as you work through this 40-yard dash setup, start with the simplest one that we talked about, then make changes after some time of trying it out. With this 40-yard dash setup, you want to be as consistent as you can with it and as precise as you can with this 40-yard dash. You also want to spend quality time working through it and get reps on reps on reps, because like all things else in the weight room and on the field, the 40-yard dash setup is a skill in and of itself. And just like all of the skills, you need to get quality reps through it and actually do it over and over and over and over again. So spend time doing it, master the skill, make changes as you need, and use this setup to run the fastest and most efficient 40-yard dash that you could possibly run. The 40-yard dash setup is going to be what creates a fast 40-yard dash. So use the setup, run fast through it, and build off of it.